Hey, welcome, amazing and beautiful people, lovers of business, agility, and Scrum all the way. This is your host, Coach AF from the Dare Real Agile podcast, live at the Deville Diner Bar, Southwest American cuisine, by the way, from Montreal for the Scrum Beer number 16. I'm surrendered by amazing people, the giant of Scrum, Danielle Pink. I have Antonio M.K. Singleton, a great Scrum educator and more. We have Jim Verkis with us. He's an innovator. I call him the Innovator. And Suryu, my business agility enterprise Scrum sister that I miss so much. Thank you so much for being there to talk about this age of imposition and agility. Hold on a second. Excuse me. Are they part of the Scrum Beer? Okay. So sorry guys, because as you know, I'm live and it's an hybrid event, and I was seeing like people that I don't recognize from because well, anyways, let's have fun. It's really early. So without further ado, as you know, it's a round table. It's unscripted with the Dare Real Agile, and we just talked about all things business agility. And I think, I don't know if you're like me, ladies and gentlemen, but there's a lot of paper on Medium, people on LinkedIn exchanging about things such as we feel imposed, especially developers, designer, workers. They feel that they are imposed a framework to work with, and a lot of people seems to be afraid of Agile, or do they know what is Agile? So just like maybe before going in the art of the subject, maybe a little roundtable for people who don't know you. So let's start with, I don't know, the ladies first, right? Stu? Is she's there? Sue, are you with us?
That's a picture.
Yeah. So Manhattan, New York.
I think her network may be having a few issues.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Okay, so she'll come back, I'm sure. Sorry about that. Just the experience of life, unscripted. So let's go with Jim on my left. Jim, who are you and what do you do and what bring you to business agility or Scrum? What's your story?
Well, I'm a big fan of agile companies, and I don't see a lot of them around. So my background is Silicon Valley startups, and when I went from Silicon Valley startups to bigger companies, like the culture shock of doing that was worse than when I moved from America to Japan. Like that was nothing compared to, going from a startup to a big company. And so I spent my career trying to flip that around a little bit and bring more of the kind of entrepreneurial energy, agility. And so this is a topic very close to my heart.
Excellent. And you, Antonio, I know we've met at Agile Boston, the Give Thanks to Scrum. That was amazing. Yes. So what's your story with this movement of Agile and
Well, my real name is Danielle Pink. I really live in a town called Guilford, Connecticut. And what I do for a living is I cause trouble. Okay. So that's
the good kind of trouble.
I'm the troublemaker, the good kind of trouble. Here's what's going on. The Agile industry and the Agile community has utterly failed executives. Executives are clueless that engagement of the people is essential.
Thank you.
Executives are clueless that you can't force this stuff and make it work. Executives are, by no fault of their own, ignorant about the dynamics of human engagement as it applies to organizational change. And the reason why is because the Agile industry has not taught them anything about this at all. Okay, so it's not the executives that are the bad guys. It's the Agile industry itself, which has not focused on opt-in participation, human agency, human engagement, in the humanity of the thing. Instead, has converted transformations into transactions. Okay, so we're all responsible for this collectively, especially me. So there's my opening.
Okay, I agree with that.
Why especially you? What have you done? Why you say that before going
Because
back to Sue?
well, let's get everyone else introduced first, then we'll come back around. Okay.
Okay. Welcome
Give
back.
yeah, I know. My speed wasn't really great, so I switched because, it should be better now.
Yeah, it seems. It seems very.
So, are we talking about why Agile is failing at this point?
I was asking everybody before you freeze, just to tell us a quick story of you. Who are you and the Agile, just to get us started, and then we'll.
Oh, I thought we were bitching about why Agile is not working.
Yeah, but because Danielle, he already in the top of the subject, and he's even accusing himself he's responsible for this age of imposition. But we'll come back to it later. But
Yeah.
tell my audience and everyone, who are you?
Yeah. I mean, as you said, I'm Sue, and I've been in this space. I guess you could say 20 years or 10 years, depending on how you look at it. But I got into this space because it makes a lot of sense, right? But it's very difficult to implement. I think the major problem that I see is the fact that people think that once you get 2-day training, you can go out and do the coaching, right? And then industry was so bombarded with so many people just doing the training, and then just have someone else do the coaching. But it is not something that you can just have a 2-day class and do it. And a lot of people make so much money doing the training, and people still trying to push the certification, and that's not the solution, because it's a lot more sophisticated. And I think the reason that I think that it fails a lot is that people trying to see that one way is always one size fits all. Like people say Scrum is great. Everybody does Scrum, right? No matter what you do. So, I mean, I am actually very happy to some degree that after 10 years, right, more or less, people kind of trying to figuring it out that what we've been doing so far, it doesn't work. And you really hear this when you go to development side, not among the coaches. So what I have, and then not these days, but because I live close to New York, I'm going to stop now. I'm going to have
I love my enterprise Scrum family. You see Jim and Antonio, these guys, we are from the same kind. If we start talking, that's it. So I try to be.
I know. Yeah, we just get pumped up.
No. Okay. I mean, but I don't want to be a moderator. I'm gonna. It's cross talk, huh? By the way, when we're gonna.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cross talk, kind of the spirit of it. So Antonio, who are you?
Well, thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. I am an individual who's very passionate about helping others. And can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I'm very passionate about helping others, and I was introduced to Scrum a couple of decades ago. Well, yeah, a couple of decades ago. And what I like about it is, in the industry and technology, we're expected to know things. And a lot of times we don't know. And what being adaptive is about is it's okay to make mistakes. As you hear, fail the first attempt at learning. And Scrum, Agile, Kanban, I mean, anything under Agile, where you're talking about Kanban, you're talking about Scrum, XP, regardless of what it is, it's okay to make mistakes and to adapt. That is what it's about. It's simple, but we tend to make it more difficult than what it has to be. And I think that's where we miss the mark, and that's where the frustration comes in. So many individuals say it has to be, as Sue had mentioned earlier, it has to be this particular way. A lot of times we want to take this square peg and push it through a round hole. But we need to communicate with one another and figure out what it is we were trying to accomplish. And when we do that and we relate to one another, that is when we can actually have some great change.
Excellent. Mr. Mizik, you know that people have seen a picture of us on one of our last podcasts, and they call us, the French comic book Asterix and Obelix. I was probably Obelix, and you were Asterix with your mustache. That's what I like. So how could you say that a giant of Scrum like you, a good friend of the co-creators and stuff, and how could you say that you're responsible for it? And we are all responsible of imposing Agile or imposing the tyranny of framework. Tell me more about that. And anyone you could jump, it's crosstalk, it's a conversation again.
Yeah, so back in 2010, 2011, I was coaching, and I thought I was getting pretty good at it. I'd been doing it since 2006, and I was working in this one company. It had 7 or 8 teams, and I thought I was doing the best work of my life. Everything was great. And I went outside. I went to lunch. The sun was out. I went out to the food truck. I got myself a taco and enjoyed the sun. And then I went back into the building where I'm coaching these 7 or 8 teams in Boston. And I went in the men's washroom and I washed my hands. And this Russian architect guy named Anatoly also entered the men's washroom.
I remember that story. Great story. Go on.
Yeah.
People will love it.
And I said, Anatoly, how's it going? And he in a thick Russian accent, he said to me, oh, you want to know how it's going with me? I'm like, yeah. He goes, Agile sucks. And so do you. Just like that.
Really?
Yeah, just like that. And I asked him why. And he said, no one gives a shit what I think. I have ideas. Nobody cares what they are. Nobody's asked me anything about this. I just have to do these stupid practices and shut up. And that's basically what this is about. And you're a big part of that, Daniel. So have a nice day. And then he took the paper towel and he flung it in the trash very, very precisely as he said, have a nice day. And he walked out and he left me there. The doors kind of closed behind him. It was me alone in the washroom, looking in the mirror, wondering what just happened. And I realized that I was party to an imposed Agile change that this guy wanted to say something about, and nobody ever asked him. And that's when I realized that it took me about 3 days to figure out what he was talking about.
That's how Daniel Mezick became Daniel Mezick, huh?
That was the day.
That's awesome.
So we're all party to that, and I myself was ignorant of what I was actually doing there, which was imposing Agile on people without their consent, assuming that everyone thinks it's great. Well, guess what? Everyone does not think it's great. And Anatoly let me know it. And after that, I started to look for ways to stop doing this and engage people, and I ended up doing things around open space technology and writing books about that and doing experiences in large companies with open space, sometimes up to 600, 700 people. And, that's my story. And I'm going to say, I think executives are ignorant through no fault of their own. The industry has failed them. And if you want any more proof of this, just go to the learning objectives of the Agile leadership classes. There is nothing about engaging people. Nothing about engaging people in the Agile leadership courses. That's a crime.
Right.
Yes, I remember when you called out this winter Scrum Alliance, Agile Alliance, IC Agile. They're certified people, and there's nothing about, not even like executive coaching or how to engage leadership to have a more because a lot of people say, oh, it's a waste of time anyways. They already made the decision, but we have to turn back to the decision rights, right?
That's correct.
So, Sue, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you, so go ahead.
No, that's fine. Can we justify saying that we should do suhari, right? So first we show them what it is, right? And then they do it, and then they change it, right? So we justify saying things like that. So I again, what I really struggle with is the fact that there's no such a thing as one size fits all.
Exactly.
It depends on the circumstances. It depends on what their needs are, and it depends on what kind of product and services teams are building. So many variables. But what we did was that they want Scrum. Okay, Scrum is done this way, right? We just push it. So we did impose in the name of doing shuhari. We justify it as well. Just like religion, right? There's, there's
Shouldn't it be like because me, I don't believe in agile transformation. And right now my thinking is we should go back to evolution. And evolution, it's like it could be incremental anyways. And we don't even like me. I'm surprised, especially for those who would like to use Scrum as a system, because I see it more as a system that you could create patterns and framework adapted to your life cycle, your product development or management, your customer segment, and everything. So I don't understand why people don't even think of it as either a digital transformation, either a product development, and then you could use the system to make an agreement with the team on any process, a value stream process type of things. I don't know. It will be more inviting, isn't it? If we ask people and
I think that the true way of dealing with a lot of this thing is that a great coach should be able to figure it out or kind of help them to see what would work, right? And try it and then move on. But that's not how we were doing it, because I think that Scrum it sounds simple, so everybody kind of understood it very easily. But one fallacy with the Scrum itself, the way I have seen with my experience, the major fallacy is when you're trying to expand, when you're trying to introduce Scrum to more than one team, building one product or services, because you have a dependencies, right? And how do you deal with that dependency? It becomes a major headache and becomes a roadblock of a lot of principles that we have in Scrum and Agile.
I wonder, and I would like to hear other people about this, but dependency and capacity of people doing things, classical project management or the Agile way, or even with lean systems, it doesn't matter. If they don't want to do something, they will create dependency. I've seen it myself.
Right.
Whatever you adapt, like even the Prince 2 type of project management was more tailored to apparently the kind of a value stream of customer experience. They don't care if they're not engaged, so they will create dependency. And every time I see an engineer coming to me saying like, oh, this is a legacy system and we cannot put your environment into this, and now they create dependency because they don't want to do the work. They don't want to have a definition of that. They don't want to agree on delivering something. That's just one of my experience. So I don't know about the others, if you experience it sometimes, where people create dependency, which is problem, impediment, and Scrum should be there. We should have the courage and the availability and being committed to remove those impediments. That's the art of being agile. Transform the agile adjective by flexible. So being flexible, it's mean like, I don't care about your process of my developer using your staging environment platform. We should make it happen because they need it. And they promise to Jim, the product owner, that we're going to deliver something shippable in 2 weeks. I don't know. So dependency, it does exist for real, or sometimes they just created it, whatever the system is.
I think that, anytime that if you are, no matter what you call yourself, an agile coach or a manager or anybody else, a leader, a visionary, if you feel that you have the power to tell other people what to do, you're already in trouble and you're already kind of failing. And so what I love about working in startups is if you go into a 10-person startup, you've got 10 people who are using their big brains to do what they think is right. They're not just waiting for, to have someone tell them what to do. You go into a 1,000-person company, you've got like 3 people who are making all the big bad decisions, and everybody else is kind of waiting for the instructions. And I think the reason that startups work so well, a good startup, is not about like a visionary leader and a great plan. The best startup founders are actually very humble people who basically say that, look, we think there's a huge opportunity over here. We don't know exactly how to get there, and we don't even know if that's exactly the right spot. It may be a little, to one side or the other. We may have to pivot in a completely different direction, but let's go figure it out as a team. And when you go into a big company, it's all about, we know what the future is. We know exactly how to get it. And my big challenge as a leader is to get everybody to basically follow my instructions. And so one of my axioms is that if change is hard, you're doing it wrong. And I really like the author of The Prince. He was an airplane pilot and a great philosopher, actually, and Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. And I'm sorry, I don't speak French, and I know I murdered that name. But he said, if you want to build a ship, don't drum up men to gather wood, divide the work, and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. That's what startups do, and that's what big companies fail at over and over and over again.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. How do you inspire? How do you motivate teams and people doing what they do without imposing? Right. That's the key question.
This is what Daniel, I think, has spent from what I understand, ever since he met that Russian guy in the bathroom. This is what he has done. Open space technology is what it's all about. I like to say, put it out as a call to adventure, not an initiative. Like,
right.
This is something that let's do this and take initiative and figure out what it is that you think is the right thing. And one of the great things about working at a startup is that if I'm the lowest person in the company and the founder is working on something, I think the guy's screwing it up. We don't argue or arm wrestle about it. Like, I just start experimenting with my approach and start, kind of exploring a different approach. And maybe my approach works better. Maybe his approach works better. Maybe they combine in all kinds of unforeseen ways. But there's actually a lot of so-called duplication of work because people are experimenting with all the different ideas. But as soon as you start telling someone what to do, it's like a light switch. Just like when you have kids, right? You either are responsible for them getting the homework done or you make them responsible for it. You can't do both. And I think this is the problem we run into over and over again.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, same here, Jim. And I realized in the last 7 years, I didn't know anything about open space technology, or I think Michael Orman was the first one who spoke to me about it, Sue, if you remember. And I think he knows you, Danielle, because you were a great inspiration for him to create his inviting agility. I think you wrote a book on this, Michael. And for me, but I used to be, before being a Scrum Master, I was a customer experience designer for big call centers and multi-channel and stuff. And one of the things that most of my teammates loved, it was the fact that we were gathering together and I was asking them, so what will be the flow of our work from taking the requirement from the client and implicating the user that we're going to use the CSM, for instance. Just give you an example like this. So, and I didn't know Scrum back then. I'm talking about 25 years ago. I was a young student working in call centers. They put me in charge of a CRM project, but I was kind of asking people. I didn't use the term inviting yet, but I was asking them, how do you want to work this? Because it's completely new. We don't know how this training software program for the space agency will work. So, and all of a sudden the engineer says oh, you should be our Scrum Master. And I thought they were saying a Toastmaster because I have a loud mouth. No, they were really. So slowly but surely, and of course the management, the leadership there, they wanted me to be a program manager, not even a program manager. No. And the engineer, they say no way, he's going to be our Scrum Master because he's good. He's asking us, the specialists and design and data and everything, we should do this. And then I started reading the book of Ken Schreiber and Mike Beadle, and then we experiment with Scrum. So for me, I had a good start, not like Antonio, not Antonio, I mean like Danielle, when you went to the bathroom. Of course, I have a lot of people, they came into my office crying that, they are using SAFe or Scrum, the imposition, the tyranny of the framework. But that was later. But I really love, Danielle, the concept of invitation, because I think it's the best way. Just not it's above business agility. It's above agile. I mean, it's really the new way of engage people, respect why they are here with us. So
why don't we just do some experiments around what people are willing to do, And the primary way to do those experiments is to invite them into something that they can understand the goal, the constraints, and how they're going to experience progress, right? It's like inviting someone to come and apply for a job. Here's what's in it for you. Here's the constraints or the boundaries around the thing that we're asking you to do. Here's how you'll experience progress as you move through the experience. And then what do you say? Opt-in participation. So, Harrison Owen says that all systems are self-organizing. What this actually means is that you can't tell the system, the social system, what to do. People do what they're willing to do, and they avoid what they're unwilling to do. Right? So if I'm allergic to you, at a party, I'm going to get as far away from you as I can. You know what I mean? And if I'm cool with you and I think you're an interesting person, like Sue, I'm going to follow Sue around.
Oh, thank you. I needed it.
You know what I mean? So I think we failed to. I think the biggest failure in the Agile industry is that we haven't educated executives. So let's discuss what the ideal world would look like. Okay, what does perfection look like? In perfection, when you go and talk about Agile, the executives ask you. People have to be engaged to do this. What is your plan for engaging my people in this process? In an ideal world, every executive already knows that it's a failure pattern to force it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But that's not the case today. Why? Because the entire Agile industry is organized around imposition. That's why. Okay? So if you want to look and say who's responsible, we're all responsible because we said nothing and we allowed it to happen. Okay?
Now I see. And responsibility or accountability. This is the thing. This is why I don't want to bring it back to the stone ape hypothesis of Terence McKenna. But sometimes we are monkeys. Very lazy monkeys, and I think this is why we are not taking responsibility for something, and we let go of things, and now we are responsible for the fact that. No, you don't agree?
No, I disagree. I think everybody wants to do interesting. Everybody wants to solve challenging problems. Everybody wants to make a difference in the world. So again, if change is hard, you're doing it wrong. This is the one big thing I believe.
Not everyone wants to make change. Some people just want to make a lot of money.
That's fine. But if you're trying to change something and you can't get anybody to actually move in that direction, then you need to look at what you're trying to change, and
right.
Maybe there's a reason for that.
Right. So let's discuss this. Let's discuss the age of imposition.
Danielle, I think Antonio has something here.
There's a common.
The age of imposition is actually evolving us.
Yeah, and there's a common thing that I'm hearing that everyone stated. It's in the Agile Manifesto. Collaboration, communication, communicate with one another. That's what it all boils down to. As long whether you're inviting, whether you're talking about we're going to achieve something, it's just about communicating with one another, and that is what we need to do. And once we understand that, how to communicate with one another, that's part of the problem. I mean, that's part of the solution, I should say.
Yes, exactly. But that's why I said that sometimes we act like monkeys because monkeys are maybe communicating better than us. But I do have faith in humanity. Don't
give me an example.
Jim.
When you say that monkeys communicate better than us, give me an example of that, because I'm with Jim. I think we all want to do something and we want to achieve.
No, but in a sense of because we as the human species, we think we are so smart. We think we have, and now we have all these means of communication, and we don't even do what it's in the Agile Manifesto to create a better collaboration. So I agree with you, Antonio. And so that came back to my point that we are stone apes, that try to evolve, but that's too much. Let's do it later and something. I don't know.
I think that we do need to admit what went wrong. And I think that what happened was that the simplicity of the Scrum framework was very inviting to a lot of people. And without really understanding true value of that framework, people just followed it and they imposed it. So when I was coaching, when I see people complaining that there's too many meetings, it's not meetings, it's work, doing it together, collaboration, right? So when you hear first people saying there's too many meetings, I don't have the time to do my work, that there's a problem. So I wanted it to stop the daily stand-up. What's the point of doing the daily stand-up if people feel that it's taking their time away from it? And it's just mechanical things, because we still came from the mechanical way of doing things, the traditional way of doing things. People try to do same way with the Scrum, with whatever. And what bothered me the most is that people who don't need a Scrum framework were using Scrum framework. Why?
Well, it's. I want to come back to the point that Dan made earlier. Daniel Mezek made. When we talk about understanding the goal, understanding the rules, and you said this earlier, Sue. Not every framework is going to work for every situation. So if we're going to use Scrum, then we need to understand those rules, the rules of the game. And this is a perfect time, Daniel, you'd like to chime in, but you got to understand the rules of the game. But it may not be Scrum for this particular environment that we're working with. It may be Kanban. It may be, as we said, open space, but you can put open space in just about every situation, because Daniel, I'm gonna let you take over because that's your.
Before he starts, I just want to let you guys know he wrote a book on rules. Rule of the games. He wrote a book on rule of the games before he got into open space.
Because it's just a game. You should agree on the rules and play by. And
so it's so funny you brought it up. So let me hear what Dan's going to respond.
No, that's my point. That's Daniel knows I understand it. You're on mute. I think, Daniel, you're on mute.
Danielle, you were on mute. What is it?
Yeah, what did you say?
Take two, because I don't know for which reason, but
I'm not on mute.
Now you are. Now we can hear you.
Yeah. Well, I just like to give you all a round of applause.
There we go.
We don't invite people. We don't invite people into the game. Have you ever been forced into playing a game by like a little kid or a friend or something, and you never wanted to?
You don't play.
It's not fun.
No.
You scrap it. You don't really interact. You don't exactly. So it's the same.
So what we have to do first is we have to create an invitation that's attractive to people, so they give us an unambiguous yes or no.
That's right.
And this goes beyond agility. Okay, like if you look around the world. So for example, in the past 2 years, if you look at the Google statistics on search terms, you will find that the term mandate had a huge spike in the past year and a half. So this is not just an organizational issue. This is a civilization issue.
Exactly.
Okay. And when you take mandate to extremes, that's called tyranny. Okay, so the good news is that people respond really positively to being asked. In fact, if you studied anything about persuasion, then you already know that the most persuasive thing you can say to someone is that it's up to them. There's something very persuasive about this. Go ahead.
Is it really up to them? Because I have a question for all of you. Because is it manipulation part of a persuasion? Because when you manipulate people, you can let them think that, oh, they have a choice. Like the mandate, nobody is forced to get inoculated, because we're on YouTube, so I'll be careful about what I'm saying. But in the meantime, we do some other persuasion stuff, like travel ban or what have you. So they kind of, so if I want to still to go visit my family in Europe, I better get this inoculation. So it's become like they impose it in a manipulative way. So they try to persuade you to do something against your will. And I love it, Danielle, that you bring it up, because yes, Agile, we are all in Agile stuff, but actually there's a tendency since probably 2001. That's very curious that the manifesto came in February, and the same year we had a big sad event that start actually this kind of imposition into our liberty and to our way of life in the Western world. And now I feel like, as I said, I had a conversation with people in Eastern Europe yesterday morning, and they literally told me, those people from Bulgaria and Poland, that the West is it's in the suicide mode right now with the way they treat what's going on in the world. And I don't know if you saw my Prime Minister, Mr. Trudeau, today. It was an empty seat in the European Council. Nobody was there to listen to him. And all the previous MPs, they lash at him because he lectured the people that, Canada is a great democracy and blah, blah, blah. But actually, we are the country with Australia with the most imposition. And imposition is a fancy professional term for tyrannical. Exactly. I will be that bold. I'm sorry, I don't want to get too much political. I know
no, it's not.
Going to the right and left, but I mean, I love it when everyone lash at Trudeau today, saying like, you're not here to tell us, Eastern Europe countries and Central Europe countries, even a German MPs at the European Parliament says like, who you are to lecture us about democracy and the rights of people. So,
all right. So here, let's
he's been lashed out because
let's bottom line this whole thing, okay? Justin Trudeau is an elected official who basically makes decisions for a lot of people.
28% of people elected him last September. 28%.
Yeah, that's okay, but he is the decider. Okay.
Yeah,
so
the decider in chief.
So here's the bottom line. This is the lesson. How decisions are made and who makes them throttles your culture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when we do top-down mandates, we build a tyrannical culture in an organization. If we invite people into open space and go, here's the problem, how are we going to solve it? You're inviting them to help decide. When you do this, that changes your culture because you're changing the way decisions get made and who makes them. Okay? So this is what organizational change and societal change have in common. If you want to change the culture, change the way decisions are made and who makes them. Okay? So when we bring Agile, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Alex?
Yeah.
Yes. And, last year I experienced the fact that I was in Mexico. And the way the public health official were speaking to us, especially in the Yucatan states and the Quintana Roo and the Campeche, they were talking to us as adults. I mean, the Mexican. I was a guest there, but a really well-treated guest. Not because I'm a Blanco. They call me the Mexicano Blanco. That's okay. But nobody, black, yellow, red, or white, that was not the issue. The issue is most of the officials, starting with AMLO, the president of the Republic of Mexico, was actually addressing the Mexican people and the pandemic measure, not with the word mandate, but with the word suggestion to help your family strive and everything. He was talking to them as responsible adults.
Right.
and playing autonomy. Of course, you will tell me, yeah, it's a corrupt country and they don't have money, but that's the point. Every country in the tropic who struggled before the pandemic, they could not go like us, completely locked down. But for me, the main message here, if we bring it to agility, and probably it's in the manifesto also, in one of the 12 principles, is to build something together as responsible adults. We are autonomous, and I know, Sue, your company, your consulting company is autonomy. I think.
No, it's not just autonomy. It's autonomy. you gotta know. You have to have an moment of how important autonomy is.
I love that. I love your mission, and I love also what Danielle. When you came to my show last summer, you said like if Elvis left the building and everything goes wrong, I mean, I think my role as a coach, as a consultant, as a facilitator is to make sure that when I left the building, I will have speak to them as autonomous people and giving them the tools to make the fishing themselves, to make the boat themselves.
What it comes down to is like what Jim said. Okay. Now, I said, well, some people just want to make money and have transactions, when Jim said that, what he said about people wanting to, wanted to do great things. But most people want to do legitimately great work with other people, right? In a really great way to do that is to, invite people to greatness. Okay. So, I don't know if it was spoken before. I think it might have been Antonio or Sue who said it, that it's not about the practices. It's like, how do we do something legitimately great here?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when you call people to greatness, it's an invitation.
That's right. Yeah, that's the thing. I agree. It's like you need to actually invite them into something that's exciting, like something that is worth doing. And if it's something big, people get excited and they're going to take initiative. It's help me look good as a CEO so that I can raise my stock price and become wealthier. We're not as interested in solving those types of problems.
Right.
And so I think it's it has to be something that feels. That's why I like to say that it's a call to adventure. Don't turn it into an initiative, where an initiative is all about the management looking good and the management pushing this and the management's ideas. A call to adventure means that you're asking everybody to use their big brains to figure out what they think would be best in this situation. We all know open space technology. Anybody who's ever heard of open source software knows what open space technology is about. Open source software is like the fastest, most nimblest way of doing development are these open source software teams. They don't do stand-up Scrum meetings every day. They don't spend a lot of time kind of formalizing process. They figure out exactly who it is that is going to do the best, do the best thing. We're actually seeing this play out in Ukraine. Russia has a very top-down military, and so it's like these generals literally have to go up front to try to tell these people who are just so used to being told what to do that they have no idea what to do, and so the Russians are being picked off. Like, it's hilarious to me. Ukraine has this very kind of decentralized thing, and it's like, if I'm a designer, like, I'm going to design a poster that is kind of inspiring and get people to get involved. If I'm a day laborer, I'm going to pick up a shovel and maybe I'm going to start digging holes to put dead bodies in. If I'm a medic, then I'm going to do that. Like, everybody is using their skills, using what they think is best, for kind of figuring out what the situation is. Again, this is what startups do so well. That's why when you literally have a 10-person startup, you've got more brains going into what you're doing than you have in a 1,000-person company where you only have 2 or 3 people making all the decisions.
Yeah,
Now there's these trends thing, the trendy things. Okay. So since 2016, because I know Danielle has a great graph about this, like the age of Agile since the manifesto. I don't know if but since 2016, when Dave Thomas started being pissed off that we transform an adjective like Agile into a noun that we sell with fear, you need to transform. And now Steve Dennings, exactly. Let me, here we go.
Except it's reversed.
Yes.
It's reversed. Put it upside down, Danielle. Put it upside down.
You need to hold it up to a mirror or something.
Uh,
No, you need to hold it up to a mirror. It's because of the way that video reverses things.
You can mirror the video too.
Yeah, it's doing that automatically.
You know, Jim, that's very interesting that you brought it up about Ukraine and Russian, because I was thinking the same thing. So, you know, we all know that Russia has a far better, armed forces, right?
Mhm.
But they are struggling.
Yeah,
Why?
just like the 1,000 person company struggles against a 10-person startup because
Yeah.
you just.
It's all because I think it's all because that they have a sense of purpose. They have the vision. They have a mission, right? And that mission
I don't think so. I think but it's more than that. It's not. It's mission and vision makes it more sound like, again, the leader needs to play a supreme role in the really good startup.
I mean, I'm saying the Ukrainian are doing that so well.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I agree.
Because they have those things, and they have a great leader who's painting a picture of what their mission is.
Stop right there.
Right?
No.
Oh no.
No.
No, go ahead.
That's right.
No,
That's right.
I'll just keep going. I'm going to show you a picture.
Yeah, go ahead. So, by all means, object to what I say, because that's my learning experience. So I welcome that. So I think that imposition is really, it doesn't really work. And how do you get people to inspire to do things that they want to do? And I believe, I was thinking about this a lot, and I thought that Danielle Pink's, the three major things, purpose, autonomy, and mastery, that really drives people. It's not just the mission. It's not just, because what good is you have a mission if you don't have an autonomy to do it? And what good is it if you also, people are, we do want to take care of how we excel, right? So there needs to be a mastery of where you want to go next as well. So that's what I want you to say. And I would like to hear what Dan wants to say about mission.
Let me chime in real quick. It's also, you touched on it briefly, but it's purpose, the mission. We have to, they know what the purpose and what the mission is. Their mission is to survive.
Yeah.
Well, again, it depends where you are at, right? It's not just survival is the basic needs. And
to win and not to be conquered. I mean, we can go.
But he's talking about Ukraine.
Yes.
But I'm just saying they have a mission. And to keep it simple, in terms of the survival, they could survive, but they want different kind of survival, right? They want to live in a freedom, right? Yeah, right. They want to win.
They would have if they gave up in the beginning, there would be more people survived.
Well,
right? So survival is not just the main thing. And
they also want to win.
I don't know. For me, you bring up Danielle Pink. I will say that I have a bias against him. I prefer the golden circle hypothesis, bring up and visually bring by the circle of why, how, and what. And I think we say the same thing. And if Scott Adams will be with us, he will tell you, like, having a goals is for loser and systems is for winners. So, I mean, the purpose in Danielle Pink book is referring to the why. Why are we here and doing this? It's your purpose.
Right.
Then the mastery will be in the what I am doing specifically, and the how. The how is the mission.
Mastery is not necessarily.
For me, it's how you do this. I don't know, but for me, I think.
But the mastery is not necessarily just what. Mastery is mastering yourself.
Your what?
Yourself. You yourself. Not
That's true.
Necessarily.
But another framework to look at through that I like is Joseph Campbell's.
Let's then speak up about the issue with the mission, because he wanted to bring it up and I just went on and then everybody chimed in. Please, Dan.
Me?
Yes, you wanted me to stop when I was talking about mission.
Yeah, everyone needs a clear goal. Without a clear goal, you got nothing. So, there's something in the military called commander's intent. You can look it up.
Yeah.
It means I know the general idea of what the commanders want, and when I get on the ground, I'm gonna deliver that intent. It might not be what someone else would do. It's what I'm going to do, right? So I'm going to interpret the intent in the moment, and I'm going to do the thing. If I don't know the intent, I have to revert to practices because I don't really know what the intent is.
And then one of the important aspects of the commander's intent is it's one sentence. Like it's not an instruction book. It's not a recipe. It's
it should resonate.
Prevent the enemy from gaining this hill. Like it's something like that. It's
it should
and there's
resonate.
1,000 ways that you can interpret that and execute on that and adjust to the situation, and that's why it's such a powerful concept.
That's right. That's right. So mission, intent, all these things matter.
Goal.
Yeah, it's a game. It's gaming. You need a clear goal. You need clear rules, and you need a way to track your progress. Otherwise, it's a shitty game.
Yeah, it's just same thing. It's to set it differently. Goal, constraint, progress,
some people
mission.
start to rig the game. It's because they didn't agree, or did they agree for what to start playing the game? The agreement again. So sometimes
like this event is a kind of game that Alex invited us into.
but I didn't put any rules. It's a crosstalk, unscripted, authentic.
You do have a rule. You have a 5:30 to 6:30, and you wanted us to start at 5. And you're going to open it at 5 o'clock, and you expected us to be here.
Right.
And those are all rules.
We all made it.
That's right. That's right.
Even if I kind of like for me, and because we just do it for the passion we have to transform the world of work first, and also I'm sure all of you, I don't know all of you as much as I know Danielle and Sue, but I mean, we are here. It's the purpose, right, Sue? We have a purpose to make people awesome. If I take the value of modern Agile, let's make people awesome. And then after it's create a space where we could learn and continuously improve even ourselves. Yes, Danielle.
Are we going to make them awesome, or do we invite them to be awesome?
Do we let them be awesome? That's right. I mean, that's again. So I like this. I like this kind of hero's journey framework, which all of our favorite movies are based on the hero's journey, which is you bump into a problem. What's that?
I mean, ask George Lucas when he started writing Star Wars. I think he read a book, Hero's Journey, or something like this.
Yeah. So he read a book. It's from Joseph Campbell.
Yeah.
And the problem with most big companies and the whole top-down thing is the only one that gets to be a hero is the person at top. And that's why it's great fun for the person on top. It's no fun for anybody else. And what you want to do, what startups do so well, is they let every single person embark on their own hero's journey, and so they get to pick out their own little piece of the puzzle, and solve the problem in that way. And so,
is there
when the hero comes back from the mountaintop, he or she is misunderstood.
Well, the hero has changed and the world has changed, and it may not always turn out the way that you expect. The world may not change in the way that exactly what you expected, but the success of the journey is that you've changed and the world has changed, and that's what we all want to do. I mean, we want to make a difference in the world, and so why can't we let people do that more often?
How are we going to do this when the entire Agile industry is organized around imposition?
Yeah, so I think that the principle about the best architectures, the whole self-organization thing is completely lost on Agile, and it's more than autonomy. Like there's a great video that says autonomy is not self-organizing.
All right. Let's do a thought experiment. Okay, silently into yourself, think about your favorite prominent voice in the Agile space, the person who you respect the most prominent voice, the thought leader that you really admire. Okay, just think of two of them, one or two of them. Okay, that's the first step. Second step, ask yourself, where can I find a public statement of their position on imposition. And if you can't find it, then here's what I say. Your favorite thought leader is part of the problem, just like you and I are part of the problem. They say nothing, so nothing changes because they're happy with the way things are. If
It's back to my stone monkey.
okay, give us the strong monkey theory.
I'm not Terence McKenna, and even Terence McKenna disagree after because it was too much. Because he said like, anyway, I don't know if we want to go there, but I don't know if everybody is aware here about the botanist Terence McKenna that revolt against the big pharma and start experimenting with psychedelic. So he has a theory, and it wasn't a theory; it was an hypothesis that if the way we are as a species, we evolved that much, it's because we start eating some mushroom, the forbidden fruit in the Bible, of knowledge of good and evil. And but the evil seems to win because we are lazy, like the monkeys are. So, I mean, I kind of resume because it's a book of 510 pages from Terence McKenna that you could probably see. But there's so much into this, but sometimes, even if I have the faith in humanity at some point, because we are great, and I like to always spark people to do great things. But in the meantime, even if I don't give up and I'm not going into nihilistic things, I think there's a chemistry or a biology to us that make us complacent. And this is why I spoke with executives sometimes, guys, and they say like, oh, I don't like safe. Safe is not agile, I know it. But if I stop and posing it into my 3,000 big corporation, I'm going to lose my job. So you talk about persuasion and you talk about motivation. So the motivation of the CIO or the CTO is about not losing his job. He wants to take his position. So if the CEO been convinced by, and I will name it, I don't care, McKinsey is the worst, the worst firm. They talk about OKRs, objective key result. They don't even know what they're talking about, but they put it in paper. They're being paid a lot. I don't know if you know, but in France right now, the Senate, the French Republic Senate, is against Boston Consulting Group, Accenture, and McKinsey for all the bad proposition on management the states own, not just on the healthcare system with the vaccine things, everything. It's been like since Macron is there, it's a mess. It's a total mess. So it started there. A CEO been convinced by those firms, of consulting firms, and the imposition start there. We have a paper from McKinsey. This is so great. Let's do it because they have an article in Forbes by Steve Dennings supporting it. Oh my God. So, so it's this is, and then if I go back to Terence, the stone, it's a stone monkey. Oh yeah, why not? Let's do this, and we're gonna evolve. So is this kind of why not? It's kind of a silent giving on things, and that's why I start losing faith sometimes in humanity, because they are compliant. They, as you said, Danielle, say nothing.
No. Let's figure this out together, okay? If you're a thought leader in the Agile space, you're an idiot to say anything about imposition or invitation. Here's why.
Who cares? And
No. Hold on.
Is this something that's thinking better than us five?
If you come down on the side of invitation and you say imposition is fundamentally not a good idea, then you alienate all your big consulting trading partners. Is that
what we do tonight?
Yeah, they're like, oh, that's not good. Don't say that. We're in that business. What are you doing? Okay.
I know.
And if they come down on the side of imposition, then they look like idiots in light of the principles of the Agile manifesto and the movement. So the best game theoretical strategy is to say nothing. which is exactly what they do. They say nothing. That's why your favorite thought leader, the one who gets the most people at the meetups and stuff, she's not going to say anything at all.
Danielle,
Antonio, you got to go?
Favorite thought leader.
Antonio's bugging out.
Yeah, I gotta go. I had a dead stop
and me
at
too, by the
6:30.
way, because it's coming noisier and noisier as the hockey game is happening.
All right.
Good seeing each of you.
Thank you,
wish I could
Antonio.
stay longer.
Be well and prosper.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
I'm going to see how the sound bites is getting out to see if I'm going to actually put it into the audio podcast. That's my ad. But so now it seems good, but my feedback tell me that it's going to be very kind of noisy. So,
But Daniel, on a positive note, that there is also movement of people resisting what has happened last 10 years, that they start to realize what has happened is not working really well for their teams. Oh.
Yeah.
So it took almost 10 years, I think, because before, when I first started it, right, they were saying that, oh, this is so great, this is fantastic. I'm like, you couldn't complain anything about Agile or Scrum because, it's supposed to be good, right? But now you hear a lot of complaints. But I heard those complaints from the developers before, teams before. And I was like, why is this,
Yeah.
So it is beginning to happen. I mean, you raise a very good question, and it is our responsibility, and also our it is something that we need to think about and have another movement, like have another Agile 2 manifesto or something.
I don't know. A lot of people should try this. For me, I'm starting to get bored of this agile thing. And this is what I like with the Open Leadership Network, because it's everything about common sense anyways. It's everything about the what Antonio says. Communication. Could we just talk? Could we just agree on some things and do things together? We don't need agile for that. We don't need like any kind of framework for that.
No,
we don't.
It's a game, but let's have a team working agreement, and let's build our game. Actually, Spotify did that. A lot of people talk about the Spotify system.
Right.
It's Scrum, for God's sake. Scrum is the one that you could tailor the way you want. Mike Beadle teach me that. He taught me that.
Do you know the...
Spotify actually came up with their model after the guy went to the safe training. Did you know that?
Yeah, exactly.
What not to do.
I work with a company in Austin. At first, they say, "How could you help us implementing Scrum?" But when they start understanding the subsumption and the interrelation of every stakeholders and every third party and everything, they said, like, okay, we're going to inspire ourselves with these base model of Scrum, but they create their own system, and it works well. And as you said, it was a startup first, the famous 10% scale type of things. And now they are like a $3 billion company with 800 people instead of 25 people, and it still works good. And the 3 co-founders are still on the floor with the people.
All right, I'm going to offer you something now. Ready?
Okay.
Sure.
Sideways? Scrum is a kata.
Can you turn it down?
Kata.
Is a kata. Oh.
That's all it is. It's not the actual thing.
Yeah.
It's the practice.
That's right. And I really like what Daniel said, which is that this is common sense. This is something we all knew in kindergarten. And, it's like in kindergarten, we all took initiative. Like, there was, think back to your little kindergarten yourself. Was there anything that you wanted to do that you didn't just go out and start doing? And you fell out 80% of the time. You didn't care. You just got right back up and you kept going. You tried something different. Right. By the time we're in 6th grade, like nobody does that. And there's a fascinating, kind of thing called the marshmallow game. And it's where you get a bunch of sticks and marshmallows and you try to build the highest structure. The kindergartens outperform everybody except for the architects who know about, triangles and the power of kind of that. Like the MBAs do the worst. And so we don't have to spend a lot of time in training people how to be innovative and explaining how to, take initiative. Like, we all know how to do this. We actually just need to create space for people to do that, and that's what we failed to do.
Yep. And don't
And
forget.
in terms of new movement, to just get back to Sue about this, I think like right now in the last 5 years, I feel myself pulled by other movement, such as the blockchain kind of protocol movement of people, decentralization. You speak about it a little bit, Jim. I think decentralization is the key, not just for business, for anything.
No, for
Because the
everything.
smaller teams do better
Democracy.
And the tyranny of imposition from whether it's governance in our society, this is it. I mean, like the choice we are going to have, we'll have to make, and starting right now, 2023 to 2030, is exactly about it. Either you live in smart city, fully central plan and control, or you go in the wood with your chicken and your home vegetable, and then you're decentralized and you have other means, because it's going to be a 2-tier, 3-tier society of people like this. So I think that's my thought. Like if we decentralization will be the way, and for those who would like to be told what to do and to be imposed, but they will be able to stay in the comfort of the smart city, completely central plan and grid and what have you. But you will give up your power even more than we give up since the last 200 years.
Yep.
So that's the thing. So
Yes.
and now this
Jim and Alex
will be sorry.
I have to go.
Yeah, me too. Thank you very much, Danielle. And actually, listen up and remember, people, you are beautiful, you are powerful, and you are free. You are free to be whoever you want it to be.
There you go.
On this,
See you later.
thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.